begin with some breaking news as the Raiders are releasing last season's starting quarterback, Geno Smith. That, of course, is barring a trade prior to the start of free agency. By releasing Geno Smith, the Raiders will open up $8 million in salary cap space. They'll take on $18.5 million in dead money. Not a huge problem for a team with all the cap space in the world. Why are they doing this? Because in just about a month and a half, they will make Fernando Mendoza the #1 pick in the draft, and they'll still have plenty of money to spend around him. They are projected to have the 4th most cap space in the NFL with more than $80 million available. All right, I'm putting the cart a tiny bit before the horse, Jordan, when I say that Fernando Mendoza will be the Las Vegas Raiders starting quarterback, but we all expect that to happen on April 23rd. If they do go down that path, which we know is 99.999% likely, should the Raiders start Fernando Mendoza right out of the gates?
Yeah, I think they should, Field. And I mean, we're talking about a quarterback that has 34 career starts, and which is over the magical threshold of 25 that a lot of NFL teams do like. So with the Raiders going under a roster rebuild and roster reconstruction, let's go ahead and let Fernando Mendoza go out there and start and go through those bumps and bruises of this roster construction, to go through what I like to call year 0 of a team while they're building up things to really restart and jumpstart this franchise. So I believe they should start him from day 1. As soon as he puts his cap on draft night, on that Thursday night, go ahead and name him the starter, just because of the amount of starts that he has. And then also, we're trying to turn this franchise around, and the best way to do that for a quarterback to get better is for him to go out there and play.
Yeah, do you guys think the Raiders have already sent him the playbook? I mean, why not? Like, let's go ahead and start working on installs, right? You should be on a Zoom call with the Raiders coaching staff right now, working on here's what it's going to look like. Because, like Field said, it's like we know who the pick is going to be, barring something crazy happening in the next 48 days. So I do believe he should start week 1. This is a team, as Jordan said, in a complete rebuild mode, and there's really no benefit or value to Mendoza sitting. This is not a guy that, like Ty Simpson from Alabama, who only had 15 starts in college, where we say, man, maybe he needs to sit a little bit to get up to the speed of the game or to get some seasoning. Mendoza's done it. And I think an important point of this when evaluating him, he went from Cal to Indiana, transferred over a summer, learned that offense, learned the scheme, learned the playmakers that he was working with, the whole new cast of characters, and he got better making that jump. So I think he's proven that he can quickly come in and digest an offense, get involved in the culture, and elevate a team. That's what he did in college, going from Cal to Indiana. So I think he has the mental makeup and the tools to quickly grasp this offense and really hit the ground running as much as any rookie quarterback could.
We're not that far from the draft. We are pretty far from the start of the regular season, and I feel like a common refrain from a team taking a quarterback this high is, we'd like to slow play this quarterback. We want a veteran to take the early reps and, get some of those lumps out that a rookie quarterback can sometimes learn from the sideline. That being said, I'd be surprised if Fernando Mendoza is not starting for the Raiders come week 1. But Jordan, let's talk about the rest of this roster. We talked about how they can support him in free agency with all that cash, but how about in the draft? Who are some players that might be logical targets for Las Vegas?
Well, what we've seen with a lot of first-round quarterbacks in years past is that they draft receivers that were on the same roster as them while they were in college. And one that I would love as an addition to this Raiders roster is Omar Cooper Jr. out of Indiana. We've seen the chemistry that he has with Fernando Mendoza last year. 13 touchdowns. They had a magical connection a season ago. He's really good down the field. He can work the intermediate, the short areas as well. They still have some things to figure out as far as the RPO game, as far as what they want to do in that fashion in Clint Kubiak's offense. But I'm really excited to see, if they were to team up, how this chemistry would form. We know they developed a really good rapport last year with the Hoosiers. So Omar Cooper Jr., if he is there, I think will be a fantastic fit for the Raiders.
For the record, I would like it to be known that Jordan stole my guy here, because I am the president of the Omar Cooper Jr. fan club. So Jordan got to the producers first. He gets Omar Cooper Jr. I get it. I'm going to go a different route, though. I agree. They need a big-bodied receiver. This was something that Mendoza had a lot of at Indiana, guys who could win 50-50, guys who could win contested catches. And I look at Arizona State's Jordan Tyson, someone that we haven't seen play in a little while because of a hamstring issue. He didn't test at the NFL Scouting Combine. Were he to slip in the draft, or maybe if the Raiders acquire another first-round pick, and we'll probably talk about the way that could happen with some roster management, if they can get back into the first round, I think Jordan Tyson has the body type, has the skills as a 50-50 artist to be what Mendoza is used to. And this is a team that really doesn't have a number 1 wide receiver right now. They have Brock Bowers, they have Ashton Jeanty, they have some offensive pieces, but they lack that number 1 go-to wideout. So Tyson or Omar Cooper or any wide receiver they had early in this draft, there's going to be big expectations for them. I also wouldn't be surprised to see them get heavily involved in free agency with that money they have available so that there is that veteran presence for the rookie quarterback too.
To kind of bring this back to where we started here, if the Raiders do in fact start Fernando Mendoza in week 1, which I expect them to, the previous 6 quarterbacks drafted first overall have also started in week 1 of the rookie season. That would make it 7 straight. The last quarterback to not start after being the first overall pick in the draft was Baker Mayfield, that for the Cleveland Browns back in 2018. Free agency is right around the corner, and with the legal tampering period for teams to begin negotiating with players or their agents specifically on Monday, we're going to play a game of first round or free agency to determine what we best think is the strategy for these teams in the offseason. That starts in Dallas as the Cowboys have 2 top 20 picks overall, and they are in the market for an impact pass rusher. Recent moves from Dallas include the restructuring of the contracts of Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, and Tyler Smith. Smith helped them get under the cap before next week. So, Matt, you are first here. Should the Cowboys utilize their draft picks in this draft class to actually address this pass rushing situation? Or should they say, hey, 12 and 20, you're available, say, for a player like Max Crosby?
I mean, as much as we would love for Dallas to make a splash move, what they should do is use those draft picks 12 and 20 to address this defense. That was the strategy behind trading Micah Parsons. And isn't it kind of funny that you trade Micah Parsons and now all the talk is trading first-round picks for an older version of him and Max Crosby? Like, why not just keep Micah Parsons if this was the route we were going to go down? But I think using 12 and 20 on defense is the smart way to build a team. You know, Dallas and the Jones family, they love to make the big splashes. But if you're going to trade Micah Parsons, the justification for that was we need draft capital, we need to get younger, we need to get cheaper. Going after Trey Hendrickson in free agency or trading for Max Crosby is not going to help them address the salary cap health of this team long term. At number 12 overall, after measuring in a little bit shorter arm than expected at the NFL Scouting Combine with 30 and 7/8-inch arm length, Bain has power, he has speed, he plays with great leverage, he's very, very active in the run game. So if Dallas wants to truly build a homegrown team instead of continuing to trade and sign free agents, I think Bain at 12 makes a ton of sense for this defense. He can play with his hand in the dirt. He can kick inside at times. I think pairing him with what they already have on this defensive line could certainly take it over the top.
Yeah, Matt, the football gods are definitely shining on Dallas if Ruben Bain is still there on the board at number 12 overall. But I think they should address with DB. I think defensive back is an area where they have a huge need right now. We saw what happened with Donovan Ezaraku. I think they more so need an instant impact player off of the edge. So I look for them to address that in free agency. But for the secondary, I think they should use both of those picks on a DB. And how I had him in my mock draft was Dylan Thieneman out of Oregon. I think he would be a great pick. Also, Avion Terrell out of Clemson. I think both of these players are interchangeable players on the back end. I believe Thieneman, can play strong safety or free safety. Terrell, according to some scouts, they like him better as a nickel, but I see him as an outside corner that has nickel flexibility to slide in inside and sub packages. So having that type of versatility in Christian Parker's defense, I definitely think DB is the way to go with both of those picks.
Well, if the Cowboys do stand pat and do not trade away those picks, history will be on their side. As the last time they made 2 picks in the top 20, that was 2005. Who are those 2 first-round picks? DeMarcus Ware, Pro Football Hall of Famer, and ESPN Hall of Famer, our own guy, Swagoo Marcus Spears. So I like that blueprint for Dallas. Let's go to Chicago, though, as the Bears have now made a move to send DJ Moore, the wide receiver, to the Buffalo Bills. In return, they get a 2026 second-round pick. This was a headlining move for the Bears, who have had a busy week of roster shakeup between the trade of DJ Moore, the release of linebacker Tremaine Edmonds, and center Drew Dahlman retiring. The Bears have about $44 million in new cap space to work with this week. They, of course, now have that Drew Dahlman-sized center hole, and they also have defensive issues they have to fortify. So, the Bears, they do have more flexibility now compared to where they were last week, but should the Bears be more aggressive in the draft or in free agency / the trade market?
I think it's the draft. Ryan Poles has built this team through the draft. And we even see a player like DJ Moore, who was a core addition for Ryan Poles, general manager. He's now gone because they've drafted well, because they have Rome Odunze, they have Luther Burden Jr., they have Colston Loveland at tight end. They have drafted so well that now they're in a position that they can trade away these veteran players and get back a second-round pick. But I think that's the method to continue building here. They need help at pass rush. They do need help at center. I wouldn't be surprised to see them be aggressive and going after someone like Tyler Linderbaum to fill that hole, to give Caleb Caleb Williams the best possible protection. But defensively, I look at someone late first round like TJ Parker from Clemson, who's had a really strong pre-draft process, starting off with a great Senior Bowl week. He is a former highly recruited player who we had big hopes for throughout his career at Clemson. He has great strength, locks guys out with a long arm, but then has enough agility to give you some pass rush potential as well. He's probably not going to be a 12-sack guy in the NFL, but a 7 to 8 sack player consistently who also is good against the run. I think that fits the way that this defense is being built, giving them some strength on the outside. But with those 2 second-round picks, this is also a team, they don't have a safety under contract right now. So this could be a landing spot for several safeties in a really deep class. I think the Bears have to hold on to these picks and address those needs.
Well, Matt, I think this is a team that is primed to make a win-now move, and one player that I would circle in free agency that I think would be a great fit is Trey Hendrickson, who Cincinnati elected not to re-sign heading into free agency. He is the type of free agent splash that I think they need to make. We've seen Ryan Poles make plenty of splashes, whether it's via trade or via free agency, to add to this roster. And with the quarterback most likely becoming expensive in the next 2 or 3 years, I think this is the type of win-now move that they need to make to really expedite this team's timeline. We saw them have a very promising year 1 under Ben Johnson, but signing somebody like Trey Hendrickson off of the edge gives them a premier pass rusher, which is what they don't have right now.
Yeah, the Bears defense had a lot of injuries last season, but there's no two ways about this. Pressure was a problem. They could not get home against opposing quarterbacks. They've got to address that this offseason.